In this lesson, we're going to learn how Revit does room area and volume computations for each of its rooms. To begin with, we need to make sure that we're in the 01 entry-level floor plan underneath the project browser. Zoom into the northern part of the building, specifically to the cafeteria and prep dish area. Right now, we can't see any rooms inside of here. So to see these rooms, what we need to do is go into the visibility graphics and turn them on. Select on Properties, and then underneath Properties, we'll find Visibility Graphics. If you click on the Edit button there, you can then scroll down, and we're looking for the word Rooms. When we see it, we need to click the little plus next to the word Rooms, and from there we should put a check mark next to Interior Fill and Reference. Interior Fill will be giving us the color, while Reference is going to give us the X that goes through the rooms. Once you've done that, click on OK, and then we'll see the colors as well as the X's. Here in the cafeteria area, we can see that the color in the X goes all the way to the face of the glass. In the prep dish area, we can see that it's coming right to the face of the wall, and it's not going to the face of the glass for the regular windows. If you need to for other kinds of calculations, you'll then need to use another kind of object called an area object instead of a room object. But for the majority of your calculations, room objects will give you a nice square footage total. We will be taking a look at square footage totals here in just a moment, but I'd like to take a look at that in a different view. And to see that different view, we're going to come into the building section. And to do this, just highlight over the circular part of the building section, and then double click really fast with your left mouse button. When you do, it'll take us to a section view. And unfortunately, from here, we can't really see any of the rooms. But the good news is, though, is that we can turn the visibility of them on, just like we did inside of the floor plan view. So underneath Properties, Visibility Graphics, click on the Edit button. When you do, we can then scroll down, just like we did before, click the little plus next to Rooms, and then put a check mark next to Interior Fill as well as Reference. Then select on OK. Now, one of the things that I've done is I just zoomed in to the lower left-hand side of this building section. And the reason why is that this is that cafeteria area that we were looking at before. Now, we can already see two odd things going on. One is that this room crosses over the second floor, and then it goes into the floor up above. Also, this room goes right past where the ceiling is, and there's a recessed ceiling. I know that we're not seeing any extra walls right here, but that's what it is. It's a dropped or a recessed ceiling, and it's dropping down into the room, down into the space. We need to fix this room so that it's no longer ignoring the ceiling, as well as it's no longer going to go over this floor and into the floor up above. To accomplish that, underneath the Architecture tab, there's a hidden menu, and it's right underneath Room and Area. And if you click on the words Room and Area, you'll see there's an option called Area and Volume Computations. By selecting on that, we can find the button that actually causes this condition, and it's called Areas and Volumes. Right now, if all you have turned on is the areas, that's all you'll see is the total square footage for the space, but you won't get the volume for it. If you want accurate volumes, we need to put a little dot here next to Areas and Volumes. And because we've done that, it means that this space, this room, is now going to conform itself to the walls that surround it. The rules it's going to use is here with the room area computation. Right now it's going to go to the wall finish or the face of the wall. It also could go to the wall center or to the different spots at the core of the wall. Whichever one that you choose, that's where it's going to try to bind itself to, and that'll be the square footage that you get from it. In this case, just make sure the areas and volumes is highlighted, and then click on OK to that. It's going to give us an error message, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to click on the X to close down that warning dialog box. And now we can see that this floor up above is now cleaning up this room down below. In fact, we can now see that this drop ceiling is in fact closing this room down, so we can now get an accurate volume from the room object. In order to see that volume, I'm just going to highlight over this line right here. So I'm just moving my arrow until it's right here, right at the edge. Then I'm going to click the Tab key on the keyboard until the entire room highlights. And then I'm going to left click to select it. And now we can see that there's a volume calculation showing up here. By the way, it's doing something kind of odd in this case. It's giving me a meters indication here for volume. If I want to change that, I can type in the letters UN for units. And here where it has the project units, we can change the volume computation to be cubic feet. If yours was already set to that, you may have gotten a different piece of information over here. I'll click on OK to that, click on OK to that. And then once again, highlight back over this, select the tab key until the room highlights, left click on it, and now we can see the volume of cubic feet for this room. These same rules that we just did, for the most part anyway, will also apply to area objects, like how they might bind themselves to the ceilings or to the floors up above. So you can figure out what your total area, your total square footage, or your total volume is by selecting on the room and then reading its properties. And if the volume is turned off, remember you can come underneath the Architecture tab, Room and Area, Area Volume and Computations, and then select Areas and Volumes to get that total volume for whatever room it is that you've selected.